Welcome back to my channel. James Pringles here with another video, and today we're discussing the Cypher System, but character creation. If you have missed my previous videos on the Cypher System, I would advise checking them out. You can go over here for why Cypher is the best TTRPG, and if you want to know more about mechanics, you can go over here for the mechanics of the Cypher System. In Cypher System, your character has a Cypher Sentence, which is an adjective, noun that verbs. So your adjective is your descriptor, your noun is your type or class, and your focus is your verb. So the idea of this is you'll put it all together and you might have an appealing explorer who explores dark places, or you might have a foolish warrior who rides the lightning. So in these cases, foolish is the descriptor and appealing is the other one. Explorer and warrior are the types, which is kind of like a class, and then your focuses are what they do, which is the verb, which is explores dark places and rides the lightning. So together, this is how you make a character. Now, I do apologise, I am going to be looking down at my script a lot because this is a lot to go through and a lot that I can't really remember. So if you see me looking over here, that's why. So your descriptor is your adjective, what describes your character, and it will incorporate a bit of their personality. So two examples that I've got here is foolish and appealing. So foolish is lots of negative there, but there's some positives, and appealing is just all positive. There's no real negative to that. But that doesn't mean there isn't a negative to you. You can make your own personality that might have kind of like a flaw. Maybe you're appealing a bit of a narcissist and you just don't think of anyone as worth your time because you're so appealing. It's no mechanical reason for you to believe that, but it might be just a flaw you want to add in, and feel free to do that. Where foolish is going to have some flaws already built in because it's got some negatives to it. So let's go into the appealing and we'll talk about the positives there. So with the appealing skill, you have social interactions, you have a skill in social interactions, and +2 to intellect, as well as resistance to charm. So they're all positives, no real negative there. But foolish, however, has a lot of negatives. So you've got -4 to your intellect, you have an inability in intellect defense, inability in seeing through illusion, deception, and traps, as well as an intellect weakness, which means spending a point from your intellect pool is going to cost 1 more than it usually would. However, there is a big positive here. You can roll twice on your task checks, which are like your skill checks, and you can take the higher number. So you kind of roll with advantage, and you can just do that as much as you want, but there are a lot of negatives, but you get a really big positive. And that's how it kind of balances it out. So there's some negatives and positives, some that's all positives, some with a lot of negatives, and it depends on what kind of descriptor you choose. So one of the another example is perceptive, which you get various things to perceiving. You get a skill in perceiving, you get some points to intellect, but you're really bad at positive social interactions because you're just so good at perceiving things. You're not really good with people, and I think that's really fun to have that flaw. It's a really good descriptor there. So next one we'll be talking about types, which is like your nouns. So the 4 types in Cypher are warrior, adept, explorer, and speaker. So your warrior is your physical base, so depending on what setting you are, it's going to change. So if you're doing fantasy, it's going to be like your fighters, your warriors, your barbarians, that sort of thing there. If it's more modern, you're going to be like maybe a police officer, a security guard, and that sort of thing. Then you've got your adepts. Now these ones are your ones with the supernatural abilities. So if you're a superhero, it's going to be like the psionics. If it's fantasy, it's going to be like a wizard. Maybe if it's future, it might be someone who's just got some implants in their brain that help them hack into machines. So that's kind of what your adepts are. They're the intelligent ones. Well, don't have to be, but they tend to be intelligent and they use some kind of supernatural-like ability. Explorers can be academics, they can be well studied, but they like action. So they're kind of like they're explorers, they're adventurers. They like going out into the world and exploring new places. They have abilities that might help them sneak, and might have abilities that help them survive in the wild. They're kind of in the middle there. They've got lots of different skills and that sort of thing. And then there's the speakers, which are kind of like your bards, or they're your charismatic ones. So they help you talk to people. They're kind of the face of the party, and they're really good with people. So that's what the speaker is. Obviously, Cypher is a general setting, so you can mix and match these depending on what setting you want to run. Depending on what type that you've picked and what tier, is you get to pick from 2 to 4 abilities. So at tier 1, all the classes you get to pick 4 abilities. At tier 2, depending on what it is, I know Explorer gets to pick 4, Adept gets to pick 2, and Warrior gets to pick 3. and it does change each time. So you get a lot of different abilities. So what that does mean is you get a big long list. You can have 2 explorers, might have completely different abilities. You might have 2 warriors, completely different abilities. And I think that's a lot of fun. So you can have multiple of the same type in the party, but they might be very different. But what really makes them stand out is the focuses, or the foci. So some examples of focus as Ride the Lightning gives you lightning powers. Focus is mind over mind over matter, which is like psionics, telekinesis, that sort of thing. Dances with dark matter. You have dark matter, which you can form wings to fly. You can scare people with it, and just manipulate dark matter. It's kind of the abilities you get there. You get other things like Craft's Illusion. Illusionist, very basic there. But then you get other ones that are a little bit more mundane, like doesn't do much, which is lots and lots of different skills, but you're not really good at anything. You just know a lot. It's probably not the best description, but that's the best one I could come up with. But there's also other ones like License to Carry or Is Wanted by the Law, which are a little bit more mundane, which might be a bit better for a modern setting, but you do get special abilities and skills from that. Focus all kind of makes your character stand out. So for example, you could have 2 of the same focus. It kind of suggests it's best you don't do that. But if you wanted to, so for example, let's look at the Bears a Halo of Fire. You get fire-based abilities. A warrior with this focus is going to look very different to an adept who has this focus. So an adept might use it to throw fire and stay away, where a warrior might use it to throw fire if an enemy's running away. Otherwise, they might just light themselves on fire with it and attack with their sword, and it just makes them more threatening. They might do fire damage. So depending on the descriptor, type, and focus that you pick, it could be very different characters, and it's very interesting like that. And it's something I really love about the Cypher system, because I just don't think there's anything you can't do with it. And I'd love to be proved wrong, but I've had a long look at the focuses and types, and depending on what genre, most of them work, and it's really cool. But if you really, really want to, and you doesn't quite fit you on a warrior, but you kind of want a bit of magic there, that's where Flavours come in. So, there are 5 flavors, which is stealth, technology, magic, skills and knowledge, and then combat. If you want to be an adept and fight up close, you're probably going to take the combat flavor, replace some of the abilities you don't use, and replace them with similar to the warrior ones. Or, if you want to be a warrior but you still have some magic, you can take the magic flavor and replace some of your abilities. Which makes it very flexible, and this is why this is beautiful for creating any character. So how the flavors work is you pick one of the abilities from their tree and replace it with one of the warrior ones. So for example, one of the warrior abilities is Bash, which makes you do one less damage but stun an enemy. If you're never going to pick that, you might replace it with a magic ability that allows you to do small magic, the little sparks in your hand, like hedge magic sort of thing. Or if you want to be more stealthy warrior, you can flavor into stealth, and you're never going to use that Bash one. You might want to take stealth skills like perceiving through deception, or stealth on hiding, and it makes it really easy to mix and match. But I really love that about the flavors in Cypher System. Alright, we're going to look at 2 of my characters, and I'm going to show you how I've used flavors and how I've used everything to make the Cypher Sentence. So we're going to start with my warrior, which is a very tanky warrior, and I've picked them as a hardy warrior who stands like a bastion. So hardy makes it very hard for me to get knocked down. The warrior gives me all the strength-based abilities, and I put everything into might with this character, so there's no speed, even though a warrior can be more speed or can be more might. And then for stands like a bastion, just helps me with my armor, helps me not be able to be knocked over. And with this, I am much of a tank. But I also wanted to be able to hack into spaceships because I'm doing this in a sci-fi space setting. So what I've done there is I've replaced one of the speed-based abilities, because speed is no good for my character, and I've replaced that with some of the technology flavors. So one of them I have now is hacking, so I've got a skill in hacking, piloting ships, as well as a little AI that helps me dodge and helps me communicate with machines. So that's how I've flavored that, so it makes it now a hardy warrior who stands like a bastion and is flavored with tech. Really fun concept. Then my character in our superhero game is a hideous adept who walks with the night, which is a focus from Gods of the Fall. So, with this character here, I flavored into stealth because I wanted them to be an adept that it manipulates shadows, and I want to manipulate shadows from the shadows. So now what I've got here is I've replaced one of the adept skills with stealth skills, which gives me a see-through deception as well as stealth. And because from Hideous I get stealth, I start at tier 1 specialized in stealth. And it's a lot of fun. So now my character is really good at sneaking, but also really good with manipulating shadow and doing magic abilities. And I think that's a lot of fun and a lot of flexibility there. So, the abilities in the Cypher system, the way I like to look at them, and I think everyone should look at them like this, is they are the mechanics only. They shouldn't explain how the ability works. And what I mean by this is, for example, Onslaught is a very good ability for the Adept. And this is an ability that you can either attack their mind and do 2 damage, and that's a mental attack and it ignores armor, or you can do a physical attack that shoots like a beam, or depends on how you want to do it, but it's a short range attack that does 4 damage. But it doesn't have to look like it doesn't have to be a beam, doesn't have to be anything. So one of my players has the focus Howls at the Moon, which basically makes him a werewolf. So his Onslaught turns into a little wolf and jumps on the ground and bites, and that's how he flavors it. And that's awesome. And if you want to make a fire mage and you've got the focus, for example, you've got the focus bears a halo of fire, your Onslaught may just be fire. And that's cool. And I know one of my players who plays in a superhero game, they have a Magneto-like character, and you know what their Onslaught is? It's just a ball bearing that they throw with their Magneto-like abilities. Their employs magnetism. And they use that to basically shoot a ball bearing, and that does 4 damage. Otherwise, if they want to do a mental attack, they manipulate the iron in somebody's body to enough to give them a headache, and that's how that works. And that's just all flavor and a lot of fun, and there's nothing that says you can or can't do that in the rules. It's just that paradigm shift of thinking of it differently, and I think that's really cool. Alright, but don't take my word for it. I want you to come up with as many cool characters, archetypes, or characters that you like from movies, whatever you like, put them in the comments below, and I'm going to make them in Cypher. The weirder, the crazier, the zaner, the harder it's going to be for me. Awesome, put it in, I'm going to do this. Because I don't think there's a character this system can't do, and I'd love for you to prove me wrong, but we're going to try and do this together. Put it in the comments, I'm going to try and make it for next week's video. If you did enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and share it to your friends. If you don't have any friends, just print off a heap of pamphlets and just throw it down the street. Don't actually do that, that's littering, that's bad. Thank you for watching, keep rolling this dice, but don't let them define you.